Hello students. Students, we are doing the 8th chapter, that is respiration and circulation. And by far in this chapter we have completed the respiration part, and then we had started with the circulation in animals. In circulation in animals, by now we have completed till the components. We have actually started with the components of blood, where we have completed studying the plasma. That is the first component of the blood that comprises of 55% of the blood. Then in the next session we also did about the red blood corpuscles, which come under the formed elements. Okay, so there are formed elements that comprise of the red blood corpuscles, the white blood corpuscles and the thrombocytes. Those are the platelets. So we have, in the last session we have completed about the red blood corpuscles, and then in this session we'll be starting with the white blood corpuscles or the WBCs. But before we move on to the white blood corpuscles, let us just revise about the red blood corpuscles and then we'll move to white blood corpuscles. So previously we had studied about the formed elements, where we studied about red blood corpuscles, which is known as RBC, or they are also known as red blood cells, and they are also known as erythrocytes. Now, speaking about the shape of the red blood corpuscles, the shape is different in other vertebrates and it is different in mammals. Okay, so if we speak about the other vertebrates like amphibians, reptiles or birds, the shape of the RBC, it is spherical and it is nucleated. That means it is somewhat round in shape and it has a nucleus. But in mammals, in the vertebrates like mammals, the red blood corpuscles are enucleated. That means it does not has any nucleus, and this enucleated structure of RBC is at maturity. That means initially the red blood corpuscles, they have nucleus, but as it matures, after the birth, as the red blood corpuscles mature, it becomes enucleated. So in mammals, it is enucleated at maturity. Now in mammals also there are two exceptions that we studied. In camels and llamas, the RBCs are nucleated throughout their life. Okay, we just spoke that in mammals the RBCs are enucleated after maturity, after attaining the maturity. That means when it is not mature, when the RBC is initially, when it is not mature, it is nucleated, it has nucleus, but as it attains maturity, it becomes enucleated. But in mammals also there are two exceptions, that is camels and llamas, where the RBC is nucleated throughout their life. Then speaking about the lifespan of RBC, it is 120 days. So the lifespan of RBC is 120 days, and if we speak about the size, in diameter RBC is 7 to 8 microns. Okay, so in diameter, as you can see over here, we have taken an average of 7.5 micron. So it is 7 to 8 microns in diameter, and the width, the thickness of the RBC is 1 to 2 microns. So it is 1 to 2 microns. Why do we take 1 to 2 microns? Now if you see the side view of the RBC, you will see this depth over here in the center. This shallow depth is because there is no nucleus, it is enucleated. If it would have been having the nucleus, it would be something like bulging shape. But here it does not has any nucleus, so it is enucleated and it is having this depth. Now the thickness over here in the center, it is 1 micron, whereas the thickness here at the side, it is 2 micron. So that is the reason the width is taken as 1 to 2 micron thick. Then the shape, it is biconcave disc-like. As you can see in this side view, it is biconcave disc-like shape. Now let us see further about RBCs. Now speaking about the number of RBC, So they are the most numerous amongst all the formed elements. That means amongst RBC, WBC and the platelets. RBCs are most numerous in number. Okay, so they are about 4.5 to 5 millions per cubic millimeter. That means if we take a drop of blood, okay, and we prepare a smear, okay, we prepare a smear in an area of cubic millimeter. In that cubic millimeter area, if we view it under the microscope, we will see about 4.5 to 5 millions of RBC. Now again, why do we take this range of 4.5 to 5 millions? Because in females it is slightly less than what it is in males. So in females it is 4.5, whereas in males it is about 5 millions. Okay, so that is how we take a range of 4.5 to 5 millions of RBC per cubic millimeter. Now the RBC count, it increases in two conditions. And it increases when the supply, when the oxygen demand is more. So to fulfill that oxygen demand, to supply the oxygen properly, to fulfill that demand, the RBC count increases. So the two situations are, one, when you do rigorous exercise. So when you do this excessive exercise, your body needs more and more oxygen. To supply the demand of that oxygen, the RBC count increases. Okay, because RBC consists of hemoglobin, that is the respiratory pigment. So as this respiratory pigment, the amount of respiratory pigment has to be more now, okay, to carry that oxygen. So the RBC count increases. The second situation is at higher altitude. Again, at higher altitude, we need more oxygen. There is more demand of oxygen. And to fulfill that demand of oxygen, the RBC count will increase. Then this increase in RBC count, it is helped by a chemical which is synthesized or which is formed in the kidney. And the name of that chemical is erythropoietin. Okay, so erythropoietin is an chemical which is actually formed in the kidney and it helps in increasing the RBC count. So what this erythropoietin does? The erythropoietin will stimulate the red bone marrow of the body. And the red bone marrow will form more RBC. Okay, so this process of formation of more RBCs by the stimulation of erythropoietin to the red bone marrow, this process is known as erythropoiesis. Okay, so erythropoiesis is the process by which RBC count increases. So now, next what we need to study is, okay, so erythropoiesis is the function by which, or the process by which the RBC formation takes place. Now the RBC count, it increases. Condition is known as polycythemia. So if the RBC count, it increases, then the actual range, so this is the actual range, that is 4.5 to 5 million. If it exceeds this range, then the condition is known as polycythemia. And it falls, if it falls below the expected range, then the condition is known as erythrocytopenia. So these are the two conditions. Now, there are certain organs in the body that help in RBC formation. We have studied about the erythropoietic organ. So after birth, when the child is born, so after birth, the red bone marrow, as the red bone marrow, it develops. So after birth, the red bone marrow is the site, or it is the erythropoietic organ where the RBC formation takes place. But when life is under fetal stage, that is the fetal life, the organism is under the fetal life, then during that time, liver is the site, or liver is the erythropoietic organ where RBC formation takes place. Next, speaking about the lifespan of RBC, it is 120 days. Now let us see what happens after 120 days. After 120 days, it undergoes phagocytosis. That means these RBCs are engulfed by WBCs. Okay, they are engulfed by WBC and it is destroyed in the spleen. Okay, so spleen, that is how spleen is known as the graveyard and it is also known as the blood bank. So what actually happens over here is, after 120 days, the worn out RBCs, they will be engulfed. It will be phagocytosis done by the WBC and then it will be taken to the spleen for further destroying. So spleen is known as the graveyard, but when the organism is under the fetal condition, when it is under the fetal life, the same spleen acts as the erythropoietic organ where RBC formation takes place. Okay, so that is how spleen is known as the graveyard and it is also known as the blood bank. Now the membrane, what happens when the destruction of RBC takes place? The membrane of the RBC, which is known as the Donan's membrane, it gets digested. Okay, whereas the hemoglobin part of RBC, there are three parts of hemoglobin, three components. It is hemosiderin, it is bilirubin and it is biliverdin. So let us see what happens to these three parts. Hemosiderin, that is iron rich part, it will be reused. Okay, so it is reused or it is used up by the body again. Whereas bilirubin and biliverdin, which is the yellow pigment of the bile, okay, that imparts the yellow coloration in the plasma, these two components will be excreted out. Now, if bilirubin and biliverdin by any chance is not excreted out after the RBC is worn out or after the RBC is destroyed, these two parts are not, if these two parts are not excreted out, they will be settling down or they will be accumulating under the skin, giving pale yellow color. This condition is known as jaundice. So people who are suffering from jaundice, having this pale yellow color on their skin, their nail and even the eyes, the condition is known as jaundice, and this is because after RBC is destroyed in the spleen, so at that destruction process, these two components of hemoglobin, that is biliverdin and bilirubin, they are not excreted and they remain under, they get accumulated under the skin layer. So this is the condition jaundice. Now let us see further about erythropoiesis. So we have studied that erythropoiesis, it is the process of RBC production. Okay. Now the place where erythropoiesis takes place is known as the erythropoietic organ. So we have studied at fetal stage, the erythropoietic organ is the liver and the spleen, and after birth the erythropoietic organ becomes the red bone marrow. Now the chemical that is required is erythropoietin, which is secreted by the kidney. And other things other than the erythropoietin that is required for erythropoiesis, that is RBC production, is folic acid and vitamin B12, that is cyanocobalamin. So these are the two things that are required with erythropoietin for the RBC production. Next, if we speak about the hemoglobin part of RBC, we have actually discussed in detail about the hemoglobin part when we were doing the respiration. So here we will just revise about it. So hemoglobin, as we know, it is present in the RBC and it is known as the respiratory pigment. Now if we take the count of hemoglobin, one RBC, one molecule of RBC will have 200 to 280 millions of hemoglobin molecule. Okay, so if we take it in grams, then 12 to 16 grams hemoglobin will be there per 100 ml of blood. So in 100 ml of blood, 12 to 16 grams of hemoglobin will be found. So hemoglobin, as we have discussed, it is made up of two parts, the iron rich part, that is heme, and the protein which is globin part. Okay, so that is how it is hemoglobin, the iron rich part and the globin part, that is the protein. So one hemoglobin will carry 4 oxygen molecule as we have discussed. So 4 ferrous ions will carry 1 oxygen each. So one hemoglobin will carry 4 oxygen molecules. And that is how we have discussed that it is known as the respiratory pigment. Now, under certain condition, if there is less hemoglobin in a person's body, then the person is suffering from anemia. The condition is known as anemia. Now, this hemoglobin binds with oxygen, forming a complex which is known as oxyhemoglobin. It can also bind with carbon dioxide. The complex is known as carbaminohemoglobin, and this hemoglobin is also having higher affinity towards carbon monoxide. Now when it binds with carbon monoxide, it becomes poisonous. This condition is known as poisonous for the body. Why? Because when it binds with oxygen and carbon dioxide, this bond or this complex is not permanent. It is a temporary short-lived complex. But when it binds with carbon monoxide, this is a permanent bond or permanent complex. Okay, and this happens when there is a carbon compound is not properly digested in the body. Okay, now carbon monoxide complex with hemoglobin, why is it poisonous? Because as each one by one each of the hemoglobin will bind with carbon monoxide, there will be less hemoglobin for the binding of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Because this is with carbon monoxide, it is a permanent bond. That means once the complex is formed, the bond formation won't be broken. Okay, so this is poisonous because then there won't be any hemoglobin left for oxygen and carbon dioxide. So hemoglobin bond with carbon monoxide will be poisonous. It will be considered as a poisonous process. Now this was about RBCs that we have studied. Next we will study about WBC, which are known as white blood cells or WBC or white blood corpuscles, and they are also known as leukocytes. Okay, now here they are known as leukocytes, they are known as white blood corpuscles because they have no pigment. So in RBC we had a respiratory pigment, that is hemoglobin, which is giving it a red color. Okay, it is a respiratory pigment which is giving the red color, so it is hemoglobin in RBC. But in WBC there is no such pigment, so it is leukocyte or it is white blood corpuscles. Now speaking about the size of WBC is much bigger than RBC. Okay, so the size of WBC is 8 to 20 microns, whereas in RBC we had seen, if we compare it with RBC, the size over there is about 2 microns in diameter, the 2 microns in thickness or the width, and 7 to 8 microns in its diameter. But over here the size is 8 to 20 microns of each WBC. But the number of WBC will be less than RBC. Okay, so the number of total leukocyte count, TLC stands for total leukocytic count. Sorry, this is about 6,000 to 10,000 per cubic millimeter. Okay, so if we speak about the number is less than RBC, but the size is larger than RBC. So if we take a ratio of RBC and WBC, 600 RBC, if we take the ratio of the count, okay, the number. So 600 molecules of RBC will be compared to 1 molecule of WBC. So there is that vast difference in the number of WBC and the RBC. Now speaking about the size is almost round and it is irregular in shape and it is nucleated, whereas when we have studied about RBCs are enucleated, that is they are not having any nucleus. But the size of WBC, it is round and it is irregular and it is nucleated. That means it will have nucleus. Now the shape of the nucleus is different for different RBC. So there are different types of RBC and the shape of the nucleus differ in each type of WBC. Sorry, I am speaking about WBC. So the shape and of the nucleus in every WBC is different. There are different types of WBC. So as the shape of the nucleus in every WBC is different, this condition or this thing is known as polymorphonuclear leukocyte. Okay, poly stands for many, morpho is the structure of the nucleus, nuclear stands for nucleus. So polymorphonuclear leukocyte, and the abbreviation are these three. So any of these three abbreviations can be written for polymorphonuclear leukocytes. It can be PMNL, it can be PML, or it can be PNL. So we'll find three abbreviations, any of these three abbreviations for this name. Speaking about the lifespan is very short. It is 3 to 4 days. Whereas when we speak about RBC, their lifespan is about 120 days. And the lifespan of WBC, it is just 3 to 4 days. Now, the site of production. Okay, now it is produced at multiple places or multiple sites in the body. It is produced in the red bone marrow, it is produced in the lymph nodes, and it is produced in the spleens. Okay, and the process of formation of WBC or leukocyte is known as leukopoiesis. There in RBC it was erythropoiesis, here in leukocytes or WBC it is leukopoiesis. Now, if there is increase in total leukocytic count or total leukocyte count, the condition is known as leukocytosis. And this increase in number takes place during any infection in the body. So if there is any certain infection in the body, you can say there is a wound that is not healing or it is on the process of healing. Even if you have certain cold, cough, allergy, or if you have fever, the RBC count increases, and this condition of increasing in WBC count, that is the leukocytic count, is known as leukocytosis. Decrease in the count of leukocyte is known as leukopenia. Now there is one special property of leukocytes, that is WBC, that is diapediasis. What is diapediasis? It means it can squeeze out of the capillary and it will fight with the infection. Okay. Please remember, it is a closed type of circulation where the formed elements, the plasma, everything is inside the capillary. The blood is inside the capillary. So this is a special property of WBC, that it will squeeze out of the capillary and it will fight with the infection. And that property is known as diapediasis. Now, speaking about the types of WBC, so WBC is classified into two main categories. Now, this is on the basis of the cytoplasm. So, there is granulocyte, means the cytoplasm will be granular, and then there is agranulocytes, that means the cytoplasm will be without granules. Now, granulocytes are further classified on the basis of the stains they take. So, on the basis of what stain they take, the granulocytes are classified on further types. Let us study about the types of WBC in detail. So, types of leukocyte, that is granulocytes, that is granulations, which is having granulations, and agranulocytes which will be without any granules. So granulocytes will be acidophils, basophils, or neutrophils. Acidophils will take the stain, the acidic stain, and the most common stain, the acidic stain that we use is eosin, and that is how acidophils are also named as eosinophils. Why? Because the most common stain is eosin, that is the most common acidic stain is eosin, so the name is eosinophils. Then basophils will take the basic stain and neutrophils will take both the stains, acidic stain as well as the basic stains. Speaking about agranulocytes, they are of two types. It is lymphocytes and monocytes. Now lymphocytes are of two types again. It is B lymphocytes and it is T lymphocytes. Now both these B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes, they are associated with immune. Okay, it is associated with the immune system of the body. Whereas out of the two lymphocytes, that is B and T, the B lymphocyte helps in antibody production. That is, it produces antibody against specific antigen. And then there is monocyte. So once again, leukocyte, that is WBC, is divided under two categories, granulocytes and agranulocytes. Granulocyte is further divided into three categories depending upon what stain does it take. Acidophils will take acidic stain, basophils will take basic stain, neutrophils will take both the stains. Agranulocytes are of two types, lymphocytes and monocytes. Lymphocytes are divided into two types, B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes, and monocytes are not divided into any type, so it is just monocytes. Now let us see the properties about these types of WBCs. So first we will be taking the granulocytes, that means the WBC which are having the cytoplasm of the WBC which are granular, which are having granules. So it is neutrophils, basophils and acidophils. Now neutrophils, if we see the diagram, their nucleus is multi-lobed. So there is multi-lobed nucleus. Whereas basophil, there are 3 to 4 lobes. In the nucleus is 3 to 4 lobes. And in acidophils, the nucleus is bilobed. Okay. Now neutrophils, it makes up to 10 to 12% of WBC. Basophil is very less, that is 0.5 to 2%, and acidophils will be 2 to 4% of the WBC. Speaking about the size of neutrophil, it is 10 to 12 microns, basophil is 8 to 10 microns, acidophil is 10 to 15 microns. The cytoplasm will take, in neutrophils, it will take the neutral, that is, it is neutrophilic, that means it will take both the stains. Cytoplasm in basophils are basophilic, that means it will take the basophil stain. And acidophilic cytoplasm is acidophilic, that means it will take acidic stain. Now, speaking about the granules of neutrophil, basophil and acidophils, granules of neutrophils are fine. That means they have fine granules in the cytoplasm. Basophils are having coarse granules. Same goes with acidophils, even they are having coarse granules. Now, the lifespan of neutrophils, it is 10 to 12 hours. Basophils are 8 to 12 hours and acidophils are about 14 hours. So, the lifespan of acidophils is more. Formation, the neutrophilic formation, it takes place in the red bone marrow. Same goes with basophil and the acidophil. So all these three granulocytes, that is neutrophil, basophil and acidophil, their formation takes place in the red bone marrow. Function, neutrophil is phagocytic. So it does phagocytosis, that means it will engulf the foreign particles. As we have discussed that the WBCs, they get activated when there is certain infection or allergy in the body. Okay. Now when there is infection or allergy, it is very obvious that there are some foreign particles that has entered in the body which is causing this infection and allergy. So the neutrophils, the function of the neutrophil is phagocytosis. That means it will engulf that foreign particles that is causing the infection or the allergy. Basophil will secrete heparin and histamine. So heparin, it is anticoagulant as we have discussed previously, so it is produced by basophils, and histamine is produced when there is certain infection or allergy. Acidophils are the function again, it is anti-allergic and wound healing. So it is anti-allergic, and if there is certain wound, it will be healing by acidophils. The acidophils get activated during wound formation. So healing takes place. Next, this was about granulocytes. Okay. Next is agranulocytes, that is monocytes and lymphocytes. Agranulocytes are without granules. They are divided into two parts, monocytes and lymphocytes. Now, monocytes, the nucleus, if you see, it is kidney shaped. Okay, and it makes about 5.3% of the WBC. In lymphocyte, the nucleus is somewhat round in shape and it makes about the maximum number of WBC, that is 30%. The size of monocyte is 12 to 15 microns and the size of lymphocyte is 8 to 12 microns. Cytoplasm of monocyte is basophilic, that means it will take basic stain, and lymphocyte is again basophilic, it will take basic stain. Granules, it is agranulocyte, so in both the cases the granules will be absent. Now, speaking about the lifespan of monocyte is 10 to 20 hours and lymphocyte is for months and years. Okay, so the lifespan of lymphocyte is a little different. It will be for months and years. Why is that? We will be studying about it further. Now, the formation of monocyte, it will take place in the spleen and the lymph node. So, spleen is one of the lymphoid tissue. So, it will take place in the spleen and it can take place in the lymph node. Whereas, the formation of lymphocyte will take in the thymus, which is again a lymphoid tissue, and the lymph nodes. Function, monocytes are scavengers. That means it will again do the function of phagocytosis, that is engulfing the foreign particle. So when we speak about WBC in total in collection, monocyte and neutrophils are phagocytosis, phagocytes, that means they do the function of engulfing the foreign particles. And lymphocytes, if we speak about lymphocytes, its function is producing antibodies against specific antigen, and that is why their lifespan is for months and years. Okay, so the function of lymphocyte is producing antibodies. Now students, we end today's session over here. In the next session, we will be speaking about the next formed element, and then we'll move on to the next part of this chapter where we'll be studying about heart. We'll be studying in detail about heart and the human heart.